right, everyone. Welcome to ECH Postgame Live, presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. That was certainly an interesting game. So, Kraken at Ducks, a 5-4 thriller. And in Anaheim, of course. So, I just want to start out by saying Dylan is at the game. So, he's doing the media thing. This is a reverse of the way we'll normally do the stream. He will join me later. So, actually, I will have my phone out ready to go when he gives me the text that he's ready to join. But until then, we'll start off. Interesting game. The Kraken are on a 5-game win streak. That is huge. But not a perfect game from them tonight. Had some sloppy moments, especially in the second period. But again, as we're coming to expect from this Kraken team, able to overcome that, able to right the ship, and take care of business against the Ducks team that you really should take care of business against. So let's go straight into chat here. We got Alex, best laid plans of Ducks and refs. I mean, the officiating, we can talk about that, I guess, a little bit later. I wonder how it felt kind of with Dylan in the building there. I mean, certainly, though, Ducks efficient on the power play. You give them that many, those chances on the power play. They shouldn't convert on that many. And we'll talk about the PK as we kind of get into it. Brian, the Kraken have a 5-game winning streak, best in the NHL. That is true. This 5-game winning streak, that is top in the NHL right now. Imagine where we were thinking last season too, a 5-game winning streak, how long it took just to get to 3 games. Amazing to have 5 at this point in the season. All right. What else we got in chat? Lindsay, not the prettiest, but they found a way to win 5 in a row, baby. Absolutely. It wasn't the prettiest game, but again, good teams find a way to win. And in the regular season, it's just about banking points. That's all it's about, is getting those points. You don't have to get them all pretty. Sometimes you get some ugly points like tonight, but they got the points. And that is huge. Joshua, that one got scary in the second. Glad they were able to pull it off the end. Agreed. Just kind of talked about that. Medeiros, I didn't know Ducks could drown. Well, now you know. I think, take the 1,000 Ducks versus a Kraken discussion that Dylan and I had earlier in the season. Ducks can drown, I suppose. And maybe that gives an edge to the Kraken in the fight. Joey pointing out 4 points out of first place. That's right. So the Kraken are just 4 points out of first in the West, and trailing Vegas, but they have 2 games in hand too. So if you win those 2 games in hand, you're right there tied for first. So Kraken inching their way up the standings. Hunter, entertaining game, but man, the PK unit was brutal. Yeah, the PK was brutal, and I suppose we can get to that now. I'm curious what Dylan has to think about that too. Of course, him being more the X's and O's type of guy, but certain mistakes just kind of looking obvious, like on that first power play goal for the Ducks with Troy Terry, just able to walk into the crease and beat Jones 5-hole. I mean, he just can't have that kind of time. One of the defensemen needs to get on him. I believe that was Alexiak in front that just needs to turn and get a body on him. And then, there was, the other power play goal too, where the slot just opens right up. Well, there are 3 of them actually. And Henrique is able to jump in there. So the PK had a lot to improve on, but, good news is in the third period, everyone kind of tightened up, and we know the PK isn't that bad. I mean, those were just some very basic mistakes. Let's see. Coop with the yeehaw, baby. Let's go. Tammy got home from the Seahawks game, half frozen in time for the second and third periods. Tonight, I'll take any win. Yes. And that's worth remembering, especially if you went to the Seahawks game. That was a rough one. And I was worried that we might have the same kind of talking points with the Seahawks as far as playing down to an inferior team, because that was certainly a problem with the Seahawks today. It was a problem for the Kraken at points in this game, but ultimately they took care of business. Sean, good teams win even when they do all that stuff. Exactly. That's the difference between, the teams that are going to make the playoffs and the teams that are going to miss the playoffs. Can you get those points together, whether it's, a point from going into overtime or 2 points from a win when you're not playing your best? Michael, they can't all be Picasso. Sometimes they are dogs playing poker. Yeah, that's from Dave Tomlinson. That's a great call from Dave. And I liked hearing the radio broadcast. I mean, of course, we all know how great the Kraken TV broadcast is, but hearing the radio guys was awesome. I liked Fitz on the call, and the ding dong Daniel Sprong was another great call. So it's a nice change of pace to have those radio guys doing the broadcast every now and again. And I mean, the Kraken just have the best broadcast team in the entire NHL. I mean, no question about it. Joey, I didn't know we were playing 2 teams tonight, Ducks and the refs. A lot of talk about the refs. I'm interested to see to see Dylan's comments on that. I think there were certainly some soft calls. I think the Gord one coming back the other way in the third was a little soft. Not the best performance from the officials tonight, but glad the Kraken were able to overcome it. And again, if your PK is better, you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. Like they didn't give up a ton as far as taking penalties. It's just the PK has to be better. All right, let's take a look here. I kind of lost my place in chat. Let's get it back. Coop, Maddie 3 points is back in your face, Zegras. Yeah, break that stick. Yeah, Maddie, another 3-point game. I'd love to see it from him. I mean, Matty Beniers, he's legit, and especially going back and forth. Mason McTavish tried to answer. It's his Calder race bid with a goal, but I think Matty easily got the best of this one. And speaking of Matty Beniers, I think it's time to plug the merch because we have a brand new piece of merch dropping here. And here, I'll put it up on screen. The Matty for Calder shirt. I mean, look at this thing. We got it professionally designed. You can support Matty Beniers in his bid for the Calder Trophy with this awesome shirt. It's on our store now. The link should be in the description down below on this video. But yeah, check it out. I think it'd be a great holiday gift. For anyone you're thinking about, the Kraken fan in your life, it's the time now to start that holiday shopping. So check out our Matty for Calder merch. It's pretty cool. All right, so let's get back to chat here. And going back. Yeah, people in chat loving the shirt. Oh, that's a dope shirt. Shirt looks great. Sweet. Gas. Don't forget to like the screen and buy a Matty shirt. Sweet. Thank you everyone for the Matty for Calder shirt love. I think that's a pretty cool design. Glad we were able to get that out there in time. And for a 3-point night for Matty Beniers, I mean, talk about the timing. And maybe he had that in mind. I don't know. We can't prove that he didn't. All right, so Kraken Hawk, we are now 4 points away from taking the division lead away from that team from the city where 2 grown men do magic tricks with white tigers. Let's get it. I know. Can you believe this? Like, if we were thinking about this a year ago, that the Kraken would have Vegas in their sights at this point in the season, at the top of the division. I mean, just huge progression from the Kraken. And to be talking about first in the Pacific, first in the West, I mean, how can you not be happy with that? Ty, the Dylan magic is still enough. Let's go. Yes, it is. Glad to see that there was some Dylan magic left, enough to get us through that game. And glad he got to see a win in person covering the game. I'm interested to see, what the players, what the coaches said after that one. I can imagine Hackstall might not be the most pleased with how the team played overall, but I think whatever was said in the third period really resonated with everyone. Sean, hope Geeky is okay. That's a big old shoulder he ate. Yeah. I mean, that was an unfortunate friendly fire incident there. Adam Larson colliding with Morgan Geeky, and Geeky basically just getting that Adam Larson shoulder, elbow area right to his head. I mean, that's a tough one to take, and he looked a little wobbly getting up. So definitely had some concern there for Morgan Geeky, and let's hope he's okay, because, I mean, he's been playing so great this season. This is the last thing he needs. But hopefully it was, just precautionary, keeping him out. Obviously, with something to the head like that, it's going to be looked at. But let's hope he's all right. Yeah, that was totally worth staying up past my bedtime. Yes, definitely worth it. You got plenty of goals. You got a Kraken win. Worth staying up late for. All right. Gregory, 5 in a row, baby. Lemon lime Gatorade time. Yes, I could go for some lemon lime Gatorade. I got my water here, but Gatorade would be nice. All right, Sergeant Pickles with the super chat. Thank you, Sergeant Pickles. Haven't seen the game. At a wedding. A bit closer score than I wanted, but a win is a win. And we are still streaking through the quad. Yes, still streaking through the quad. Let's go. Enjoy that wedding. And yeah, I mean, you can watch the highlights of this one. Plenty of goals to see. Bit ugly second period, but some real great plays for you, Sergeant Pickles. And thank you for the super chat, sending a super chat from a wedding. How awesome is that? Appreciate the dedication there, Sergeant Pickles. All right. Back to chat here. Reverse not so retro ECH post game. That's true. Yeah. I know. Reverse post game, Dylan at the game, me here. It does feel, a little odd running the stream here and everything. I miss Dylan. I want to just like get his take on things. I think I've said that a few times. I wonder what Dylan thinks about this. But we'll find out soon enough when he joins us. I keep checking my phone every now and then to see that text. We're only 10 minutes in. Probably will be a little bit longer, but looking forward to having Dylan join us. For this one from Chris, God, I'm glad we have Spronger. Me too. I mean, he has stepped up so much and contributed to the fourth line. I mean, the offensive play looks just as dangerous as ever. And then with the good decision making with the puck, being better defensively, this is the kind of play I imagine that scouts were just drooling over in his draft year. I mean, he slipped to the second round over some of the concerns that we'd seen earlier in his career, but that upside, I mean, there's always been that idea of this is the player that Daniel Sprong could be if he rounded out his game. And I think we're finally getting to see that, which is really something special too. Cause you don't find players with those kind of offensive instincts like Daniel Sprong all the time. But they need to be good in their other areas of the game enough to stay in an NHL lineup. And so it's a real treat when they are able to do that and help out your team. Let's see. Joshua, second 5-game win streak of the season. This is just a different team than last year, and I love it. Yeah, absolutely a different team than last year. And I mean, this game drove that point home, right? I mean, how is this not a different team after all that sloppiness in the second period to be able to pull it together in the third? There were so many moments. I mean, you blow two separate 2-goal leads where last season they just don't escape a game like this with the win. I mean, there's enough demoralizing moments. They don't have the offensive firepower. I mean, pick any number of things you want, reasons why the Kraken would lose this game last season. And they put it together and they pick up 2 points tonight. So I'm happy to see that. Edward, Dylan Pong then? Yes, we will. Actually, I don't know if it's Pong. We will have a loading Dylan screen though. So everybody stay tuned for that because that's going to be pretty great. Tammy, we were originally hoping for 3 out of 5 of these 5 division games, and I believe we are 4 of 5 now. Yeah, that's huge. And getting wins against Pacific Division opponents, another thing they weren't able to do last season. But yeah, they're making their presence known in the division. And Jake, it's nice to be able to score ourselves out of trouble when necessary. Another thing they couldn't really do last season is score themselves out of trouble, and it's a nice ability to have. It really is, because sometimes you're going to have games like this where you're giving up a lot of goals, and to be able to have that firepower to get back in it is huge. All right, we got a super chat from CR Bud. RJ, Alexiak looked like he and the puck were reverse magnets on that first Anaheim goal. Yeah, I mean, it really did look like that. Yeah, I mean, someone's got to go in there and clean that play up with Troy Terry in front. Alexiak, I think he's had an up and down path coming back from this injury, and we know it's tough to come back into game action when you've been out like that, and especially what was a lower body injury, something that may have been aggravated again tonight potentially. I mean, we saw him go down and limp off the ice. He was able to come back from that, but you could probably tell he's still dealing with something. And I mean, that's no excuse not to go clean up the front of the net on a PK like that. But I think there's still some of that, mental side of getting back into the game that we still need to see from Alexiak. But hopefully he's able to do that soon enough. See, Edward, I love the RJ Pong, so I'm eager to see what you got for Dylan. It's going to be good. Our graphics guy makes some really good loading screens. So you get to see another one of those. So let's see. Shoeshine, well, they fell victim to the deaded trap game, but still managed to scrounge up a win. I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, you could call it a trap game. The Ducks are still a tough team to play. They've got the offensive firepower, just like the Kraken do. Not really most solid on defense. I want to talk about that Vince Dunn goal for a second. I mean, how do you have that giant lane just open, ready to go? I've never seen like that much room for a player to just walk in through the middle with everybody still in the zone. That was something incredible to see. And one of those times where you can take advantage of playing against a team like the Ducks. So text from Dylan, that was quick. All right, he is ready to join. I am going to go send him the join link. So I will be right back, and we'll get the loading Dylan screen. Enjoy, everybody. All right, Dylan, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about everybody here? I take it things have been pretty pleasant.
Yes, no, everyone's happy with the 5-game win streak. Everyone kind of acknowledging that, look, this wasn't the perfect game. There were definitely some sloppy moments, but I think happy that the Kraken were able to get things together, and get it under control. But I'm curious to see what was the mood from the players, from the coaches, because there are really two ways you could look at this game. You could talk about the third period and tightening everything up, and being on a 5-game win streak, or you could look at maybe some of the issues that are going to be addressed, I'm sure, in the coming few days. So what was the response like from the players and coaches?
Yeah, it sounds like the response was pretty similar to everybody here. The players a little more subdued. Sprong was subdued. Wenberg was pretty cheerful as Wenberg is. But Hackstall was very much hey, there's stuff we can work on, improve on after this game.
I'm
Like
not surprised.
it's good we got the win, all that kind of stuff. Martin Jones just did good for us tonight, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it wasn't, uh, I don't know, overly joyous.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And I mean, one thing I also want to, here, I'm sure that was talked about is the penalty kill, and especially kind of what
Yeah.
Dave Haxtell had to say about the PK and what they can improve on there.
Yeah, just that it needs to be better. Like that was basically it. I think the direct quote was obviously needs to be better. I think that was
Fair
that was
enough.
literally what he said. So it didn't tip his hand or anything at what they'll be doing, but it'll be interesting to see if they, no mention of what they're planning on doing tomorrow. Um, but I got to think that tomorrow maybe, or certainly during morning skate, and just the general talk these next couple of days is going to be discipline, discipline, discipline.
Yeah, no, that's going to be huge, and I think it's probably good he didn't go into everything that could be fixed from the PK this game, or else he wouldn't have gotten here as
Yeah.
timely as he did. We got a super chat off the bat from Duthan. Thank you, Duthan. Good to see Dylan loading on a win. I hope Geeky is okay, but great to see a division win. Yeah, I mean, everyone enjoyed the Dylan loading screen. It's a nice little. I think someone said earlier, like reverse retro, but not so retro. Just a reverse post game live. To doing it this way, but I'm sure glad to have you here. Yeah, you made a pretty good time too.
Yeah, it was quick. Everything was just speedy, and answered questions pretty quick, and we all got out of there. But yeah, and latest on Morgan Geeky is that there is no latest. So
yeah, I figured that might be the case. I was going to ask anyway, just to be sure. But yeah, usually we don't get injury updates at this stage. Might get something tomorrow or the next day, but let's hope he's all right. Cause I don't know if you got a good look at that in person, but
yeah, it was one where like by the time I saw what was going on, he was on the ground, so I saw it in replay, like many people. Just really weird. Just have no idea what happened there. I will say I saw him. He was dressed civilian clothes, right? Like
right.
after the game while we were waiting, and he seemed fine, smiling, talking with people. Everything was fine. No, no, obviously no like limp or anything for something like this, but he,
Yeah.
he seems all good to me.
Yeah. So let's turn to goaltending because we're getting a couple questions I see from Tammy, from Nathan in
Yeah.
chat, and a few others too. I said something to the effect of, don't think Jones necessarily played bad tonight, but would you go back to Grubauer in LA? I mean, what are you thinking goaltending wise? One, how do you evaluate Jones's game? Did Hackstall say anything about that too? And then who would you go with in LA?
He did not tip his hand when it came to who would be starting in net or anything like that. Uh, I don't know. I think I would probably go Grubauer. I know we've talked about Martin Jones and his history in that building, all that kind of stuff, right? But I think I would probably go Grubauer. These last couple games for Martin Jones have been a little more shaky. And whether that's he's just kind of hitting a wall because he's played so much recently, or maybe the team is just it doesn't quite feel like he's hey, the backup's in, we need to really go out there and go 1,000% for him. I just think probably going back to more of a one on one off for both of them is probably going to be the best path forward for the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you in theory as far as getting that one-on-one off. I still think Martin Jones is money in LA. I would still give him the start. It might be going out on a limb a little bit, but I'd give him the start in LA just personally because I think he's going to give you the better chance to win. But we'll see what Hackstall ends up doing with it. Red faced. Love to see Seattle looking great from a diehard Devils fan.
Nice.
Hey, nice to have that Devils representation here. Thank you, and hey, good to see the Devils doing well. They it's been a little while for them, but
Crazy.
man, they really look good. We talked about on the Red Glare podcast. It all looks sustainable too. So glad for the Devils.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for those pesky Bruins out there
Mhm.
having to be just that little bit better, I think a lot of the talk around the league would be about how well they're playing right now.
Definitely. So from Nathan, because I do want to talk about this with you. Can we talk about Dunn's goal though? That was some all-time terrible defense by Anaheim. Looked like us last year. Dunn parted the Red Sea. I mean, what was that goal like from your perspective?
It was like I couldn't believe my eyes, and I'm sure Vince Dunn, if we had him post game, could ask him. I'm sure he would have said the same thing. Um, I had no idea what was going on. Like you just see the grouping of all the Ducks forwards, like kind of over off on the one side. The D is playing super far back because Brandon Tanev's doing a fantastic job on that play.
That was great.
Pulling the D back, and so they have to play low, and then the puck just gets out to Vince Dunn, and he just picks his head up, and there's just nothing in front of him except for eventually John Gibson. But like it was just absolutely nothing. And I liked, on his goal, I liked on the Sprong goal, I liked on the very first goal from McCann, just a couple minutes into the game. All of these goals were built around patience, and if a team is going to give you time and space, you have to take that time and space. I put out the tweet after the Sprong goal, like no goalie can stay square to you forever. On the Vince Dunn goal, it's an example of if you have time and space and you can set up your shot, walk in on a goaltender, you can pick your spot and beat them clean. Uh, there's so many benefits to getting that much time and space, whether it's any of those three goals, the defensive breakdowns that the Ducks had tonight. And it was just I was happy to see the Kraken take advantage of that. And they were all those are like goal scorer goals, and we didn't get too many of those last year. And so it's nice when we get to see a nice bunching of them like tonight.
Yeah, it is nice to have finishers, and Kraken have benefited from that all season long. Next comment from the Sandpipes. I missed the beginning of the stream, but just in case RJ didn't cover it, which I didn't, Root put up a stat that the Kraken are the third best at limiting goals allowed in the third period. I mean, we kind of saw the effects of that tonight. But I mean, it does feel like this team is able to adjust, even if they can't adjust quite, perfectly after the first intermission, but after the second intermission going into the third, they seem able to shut things down this season.
Yeah, they do. And I think that that's one of the things that we've, kind of talked about, right? The ability for the team this year to make adjustments mid-game, go in it, intermission breaks, make those adjustments and come out and execute on them, whether it's changing something on the power play, whether it's changing something that they're doing face-off wise, whether it's, defensive like this. That's kind of been the hallmark of this team so far this season, has really just been their ability to adjust to things mid-game and come out stronger for it. And it's, again, something we didn't really get to see too much from them last season. And we're seeing what a massive difference it makes this year, including in games like tonight, right? I mean, I feel like that's the difference with this team having been together for, a couple weeks now versus opening night of the season, where, things went a little bit different. It started very similar to this game, and things ended up different. And I think that just shows that the team as a whole, coaching staff included, have just gotten that much tighter. Everybody understands where everybody's at. Everybody's on the same page, and that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And next we got from Harley, listen to KJR, Snowy Drive Home. Fitz cracks me up. Thankful for their voices when not home to see the games. And then totally RJ, a totally different team from this year. I did cover that a little bit. I mean, just how different this team looks. Powerhouse. But yeah, funny enough, actually, we got Fitz and Dave Tomlinson for the TV broadcast because there were some difficulties, I guess, with the TV broadcasters, and that was a nice little change of pace. I always like hearing Everett Fitzhugh. I don't get the chance a lot to listen to him just because I'm at the home games, and then for the road games, I'm usually just watching the TV broadcast. But it was great to hear him call the game. Some really great calls. Ding dong, Daniel Sprong was a good one. I had been around, listening to them when he'd been workshopping that one for a little while, and man, did that one hit just right. So, I mean, great call from Fitz. I mean, just, great, like best in the business, really, their whole broadcast team. And then on the Sprong goal, Dylan, I wanted to ask about this. He kind of went like this, gave him a little, hey, I can't hear you. How was the crowd tonight in Anaheim?
The crowd, it wasn't the fullest of crowds, but it was, it was a pretty typical Ducks crowd. Things are chill. Ducks do something. People get excited. They have stuff to say to the refs and stuff. Kate actually asked him about that during the availability because we got Daniel Sprong, and he said that was not directed to the crowd at all.
Okay.
He said he loves the crowd here. They were very supportive of him during his time here. He said, those that know kind of thing. Like,
okay.
The people that was directed to know that was directed to them, is what he said.
Interesting. Well,
good
on Kate asking about that.
Yeah, but he wanted to make clear it was not intended for the crowd.
Okay, good to know, and glad to get that clarification in here. Everybody loving the Dylan loading screen as I'm approaching that point in chat. Let's see. Everyone's talking about missing Victor Rask. Where's Victor Rask now? Because you have you and Victor Rask on the loading screen.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know where he is now.
That's a good question. He could be, because I think he signed a PTO somewhere, but I don't know that he made the team. We'll have to look it up.
Yep, we will. Question here from Jake: if Geeky is going to be out for a while, do they bring Bright back early?
It probably not. Everything they've done this year has been very much, we have a plan, we're sticking to the plan. So I would be surprised if they would do that. Especially, it's hard to say without knowing, what's going on with Morgan Geeky specifically.
Yeah.
I think, if it's only going to be like a game or two that he's going to be out, if he misses any time at all, I honestly don't, obviously they wouldn't. I think that would be the wrong thing to do. If it's going to be a sustained absence, you could always let him play out the 5 games and then make the call of, hey, would you rather play with the Kraken or with Team Canada? Right? Yeah. I got to think he probably wants to take that shot with Seattle. So I think that could be on the table if it's something longer term.
Yeah, potentially, but I think there's nothing that's going to get in the way of this 5-game stint for him with the Firebirds, given how things are going. And of course, we'll talk about that more on the next deep dive. But yeah, I just think you can't mess with that success. Going back to chat, Aaron, I am buying that Maddie for Calder shirt. Harley, still thinking about that Maddie for Calder tee.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's been the reaction and the response to that? The thing's awesome.
Pretty positive, I think. I mean, you can let us know in chat what you think of it. I'm going to put it back up on the screen again. There it is, the Maddie for Calder shirt. Again, we got it like this, professionally designed. We did not make this ourselves. We couldn't do something this good ourselves. But yeah, I mean, Maddie with a 3-point night tonight, really making his Calder trophy case. And, with Mason McTavish on the other end of the ice, McTavish did get a goal, but I think season-wise, Maddie's just leaving him in the dust.
Oh yeah, it's been no question this year. They finally moved McTavish down. He's been centering their 4th line, just to get him back over to the center position, and they're going to work him up that way. So, I don't think unless something really drastically changes as the season goes on, he's just starting to get over to his natural position, not getting a ton of ice time right now. So Maddie being out there getting big minutes with the Kraken on a team that is not dead last in the league. And he's part of the reason why that this team is in the spot that they're in. They're going to be competing for first in their division and all of that kind of stuff. Like, that all gets factored into, and obviously the point production speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely does, and we're getting some feel. Love it from Cameron. Ordering as soon as I get paid from Shoeshine. And Shoeshine, see if you can print it on rally towels too. Yeah, I mean, now that we've got the design, we got some interesting possibilities. Yeah. Alan, I'm having a hard time deciding reverse retro or this dank t-shirt. So, I mean, my initial reaction is why not both? But, if that's not in the cards, I tell you, this t-shirt won't set you back as much as a reverse retro jersey.
I was going to say, if financials are going to play anything into it at all, we might be the better option.
I would think so. And then Aaron, that tee design goes so hard. Link where? Link should be if you're watching this on YouTube, right down in the description below. If you're watching this on Twitter, I think it's the other place we're broadcasting it. Go onto our Twitter. It should be the pinned tweet up at the top with a link to go get that shirt. And we've got shirts, hoodies, all kinds of merch. The link takes you directly to the shirt, but you can move around on our shop, get whatever you want.
Oh, what did you do, Ty? Looks like Ty broke the discount code. for the
Oh no.
Patreon members.
Trying to order now, but RJ always break the discount code.
Well,
Oh
we'll
no,
take
what
a look at
happened?
that either
I thought it was
tonight
still
or
working.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep. I had someone ask for it tonight. I didn't hear any difficulties, but yeah, also that's true. If you are, a Patreon member, Terror of the Deep tier patrons get a 15% off discount code for anything from our store, all the time. So you can use that on that Matty T, of course. All right, so let's get back to the game here, and back into chat. And let's people thought Kuhlman could draw in if Geeky comes out.
Yeah.
SJ, I don't think they bring Wright back until after World Juniors. We have plenty of forwards. Agreed. I mean, with this team's forward depth, you don't have to rush it. And most people in the chat kind of agreeing here after that. Shane won't be back maybe until after All-Star break. I don't know about that late. Actually, well, when is the All-Star break? Is it January? Maybe that does make sense.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Stratic, interesting. Coachella Valley does have another center who has been killing it over the whole season without the benefit of an 80% shooting percentage. Ooh, some shade there. Andrew Podorowski has 22 points in 15 games. Yeah, and I like Andrew Podorowski's game. I mean, he lit up the AHL last year. I think he would be a fine fill-in if they want a more veteran fourth line center, but and leaving Shane Wright to still do his thing. And yeah, I mean, the guy just knows how to score.
Yeah, no, for sure. All the production speaks for itself. We talked about him being an addition to that club earlier, at the end of the off season on, I believe, the deep dive. And yeah, it's just one of those things where we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see, if there's an absence from Geeky, how long it is, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to go, jumping down that rabbit hole if we don't have to. What I mean?
Yeah, agreed. And speaking of little rabbit holes, Brian, Victor Rask is playing in Switzerland, making Swiss memories. So that's good to know.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, no, good for him. Always got to root for him. And then Sean saying Dunn almost laughed when asked about it by Piper on the Dunn goal. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta laugh when you got that kind of time and space.
Yeah,
Scott. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're not supposed to get opportunities like that in the NHL.
No, not at that level. From Scott, cool that you're able to go to road games, just Ducks or others too. Well, Dylan, tell him.
Yeah, I mean, on Tuesday I'll be at the Kings game. So being based out of SoCal, I can reach these destinations and then want to see about maybe next time they go to Vegas or Arizona. I want to get into Mullet Arena so bad. I got to take a road trip for that one.
Yeah, the perks of having a SoCal-based member of ECH and playing in the Pacific Division. We get to send Dylan out to some of these games, and I'm grateful for the coverage and glad we get to do this. I mean, we just get to cover more games this way.
Right, and Coachella Valley once they start playing down here, that's definitely going to be on the table too. Definitely want to try to get out there for that home opener.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's going to be great as well. Shame they're not at home yet with Shane Wright playing there, because if they were, Dylan would be basically living out there.
I was gonna say we'd make some sort of cheap motel deal for 2 weeks and get me out there the whole time.
Yep, absolutely. Alex peeping RJ's wall art. Lol. This is my parents' house actually. They've got some nice art on the wall. Much fancier than anything at my apartment. Dalek loved a Kraken and a little smiley face. Yes, we love the Kraken too, and we're feeling good. Joshua, Anaheim announcers thought the refs were calling the game in favor of the Kraken. Yes, I know. I had to have the Anaheim broadcast on for parts of that game. They thought the refs were very much in favor of the Kraken.
Interesting.
They're one of the more biased West Coast broadcasting groups, that's for sure.
Yeah. I like that you clarify West Coast, because boy, some of those East Coast crews.
Yeah, you turned me on to that actually.
I get pretty next level when it comes to that home bias.
Yeah. Ty saying Geeky was in the fist bump line post-game, looked okay. That's interesting. Dev guy, I feel like we get this question every post-game. When is Donskoy coming back? We don't know. Not anytime soon. I'm sorry.
I know. I talked about it on the Discord because people said he was day to day, and I said, well, day to day really means like month to month. Week to week means day to day, and month to month means who knows.
Yeah, basically, that's how it is. That's Stratic. How can you not love Daniel Sprong? Agreed. Let's see. Wow, everybody helping out with like link in the video description, link in the description. You guys are the best. Just help it out here, helping people find the shirt. SJ, wait, did we talk about what's wrong with the PK yet? Yes, we did.
I mean, kind
A
of.
little bit, actually. Yeah, we talked about what the official answer was, which is just it needs to be better. But I mean, Dylan, is there anything you kind of want to break down about the PK and what went wrong there?
Yeah. So like, I feel like both, obviously in the second half of that first period against Vegas, and then it continued into tonight. Our D is not doing a great job of keeping the play in front of them, right? That's something that I've talked about several times throughout the last year and a half. Has been as a defenseman, especially in something like the PK where you're down somebody, right? It's very important to keep the play in front of you. You don't want players drifting behind you where you can't see them, and certainly you don't want them so far behind you that you then can't make a play on them if they were to receive the puck, or if a shot was to be taken and there's a rebound, they're there to pounce on that first thing. And a couple of the goals that the Kraken let in tonight were plays in which the D let guys get behind them. I think of the Troy Terry first goal,
Yeah,
where Larson had been playing Troy Terry higher up in the zone. He was playing him man to man. Alexiak comes back across the ice. I'm guessing that Larson thought he was passing off coverage to Alexiak, and then Larson just stood there. But Alexiak just continued across over to his side of the ice, and then Troy Terry was just like, "Well, I'll just take all this space behind you." So then you're caught with Alexiak not in position to deal with Troy Terry, and you're caught with Larson playing way too high in the zone, and it just obviously you can't give somebody like Troy Terry that much time and space, right? Talk about being patient, talk about time and space for the Kraken's benefit. It helps the other team too, unfortunately. Um, and then on another one where you have Carson Soucy, he's trying to skate the puck up the boards, try to get something going out of the zone. Unfortunate turnover, just kind of gets stuck along the boards. It's a turnover, and was it 77? I think I don't remember who that was on the Ducks. Yeah, Toronto gets behind Will Borgen and just picks up front. And Yanni sees it, and Yanni's booking it to try to get there in time, but just too late to get there net front to help out and help make the stop there. So again, it's just one of those, like, if you can just keep the play in front of you, don't let guys get behind you like that, a lot of these problems would go away.
Yeah, no, agreed. And it's simple things. I mean, that's kind of what I talked about earlier too. It's very simple, basic mistakes that should be able to be cleaned up rather easily. And last season we saw a lot of those not get cleaned up, but I'm a lot more confident in the coaching staff now in their ability to fix that quickly.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. This is funny. Edward, Ty tanked the discount code. Yeah. Tank Commander Ty doing the work. Scott on the shirt. I'll wear one to Queen Anne Beer Hall. And I do want to give another quick shout out to Queen Anne Beer Hall. Dylan, you can do the thing this time because it's beneath you.
Right there,
Thank you to our sponsor, Queen Anne Beer Hall, for sponsoring all these post-game lives. Really appreciate it. And love you guys bringing it up, showing them love too. I mean, you guys have been awesome with that. Ty, I just ordered it without the code. Let's go, boys.
Let's go, Ty.
Let's go, Ty. Thank you. And then, yes, people pointing out Kraken are outright second in the Western Conference, better than Dallas now. Let's go. I mean, it's just great to see them climb up the standings and really have Vegas, in their sights. That's something we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Vegas right now really struggling in their own ways. So that's like I said, first in their division is not out of the question. And that's going to be a big deal for, obviously this team making the playoffs, having home ice in the playoffs, potentially, not to get too far out, but certainly when it comes to things like Maddie in the Calder race, like that's a big deal to awards voters. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's see, Jake saying he's going to be at the Kings game as well Tuesday. We'll enjoy that game, Jake. Maybe you'll see Dylan all the way up and back there in the press box at the arena formerly known as Staples Center.
I know. I want to bring one of those like golf range finders and shoot it down at the ice and see how far you actually are. Because I'm telling you, there's got to be no press bridge further away from the ice than at that arena.
It is the worst. And you got to bring your opera glasses too for when the games go, and just put those up. And
there are several people last time I was up there had binoculars. Several other people had binoculars to watch the game in the arena.
That really says it all, doesn't it?
Yes.
CR Bud, any chance the Kraken go 74-5-3? Dylan, what do you think the odds of that are?
I don't know exactly like what Vegas would put those odds, but like it's technically possible.
It is technically possible. Nathan says 1,000%. Um, I mean, it's in the realm of possibility. I guess it's more possible than 1,000% possibility of that.
I was gonna say, there's lots of things I could think of that are more unlikely than it. So I guess it's it's not bad odds.
Yeah, it would make for some fun post games, that's for sure.
Yes.
And then the sandpipes. I know McCann didn't particularly like the full plexiglass face shield. Any word if Bjorkstrand didn't like it either?
Ooh, I don't know. That might. I didn't hear anything about it. Didn't get him post game or anything. So don't
Yeah,
know.
because he did play with the bubble tonight, and I know that bothers some players. I mean, I heard it from McCann how much it bothers him.
Yes.
And if you stick around long enough, maybe you would hear that from Bjorkstrand. But yeah, I can't imagine he was too thrilled with having to play with that. But that's what you have to do to play, I guess, when you get hit in the side of the face like that in the jaw.
For sure. And then we got a super chat down here from Brian. Love Dunn's goal. I don't get what obstruction. Can you please explain it? Dunn had the puck and Tanev kept the D-man from entering the slot. Thanks. What obstruction?
So basically, what he's talking about, Tanev in front of the net,
Oh, yeah.
and whether that's like obstruction or a penalty, is that allowed on the Dunn goal, and kind of
Yeah.
playing that on the edge of the rules, basically. And it was something that Brian did point out on Twitter after the game as a topic to talk about. Again, sorry, Brian, I forgot about it with everything going on here and the crazy way that game ended. But thank you again for the super chat bringing it up. So, Dylan, explain Tanev's role in that whole situation and the line there between interference versus what he did.
Right. So we all know the importance of having somebody net front, right, to screen a goaltender, and all the benefits that that provides. Because if goalie can't see the puck, how can they stop the puck, right? Um, and so that's kind of Tanov's job is there. It's also multifaceted, and like I said earlier, he keeps the defense low, which is partly what allowed Vince Dunn to step up so much and really get a read on what Gibson was doing and where the hole was going to be for him to shoot through. And so it's it's dicey as far as like what's considered obstruction, what's considered interference, right? You can't interfere with somebody who's trying to go and make a play on the puck. Especially, usually it's called if it's a loose puck situation. Think of somebody the puck's getting dumped into your zone, and as a defenseman, you have somebody skating towards you. If you leave your line to go and make contact with them, keeping them from being able to get to that loose puck, that's interference. That's generally when you see interference called. I think in a situation like this, I mean, they're just battling net front. This is what happens, right? Guys go there to try to screen the goalie. The defenseman engages man to man and tries to move them out of the way so that their goaltender can see the puck. To me, that's really all that was happening. I don't see where there's supposed to be a larger penalty involved. I think I don't know who initiated contact. Maybe that becomes part of it. If Tanev skates in and initiates that contact, maybe then you could say he comes in and he's running some sort of pick, and it's keeping that defenseman from stepping up and going to try to defend against Vince Dunn there. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you watch any hockey game, you're going to see net front battles between a defenseman and a forward trying to screen a goaltender there. Like that's just hockey. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't remember the full context of the situation, but as far as my read on it, that's my read on it.
Right. And if the puck was, kind of off at the point, basically, if there wasn't a guy streaking right down the middle, like we never see, nobody
Yes.
would bat an eye at that. And essentially, you're standing your ground. You're entitled to the spot of ice that you are already on, and,
Right.
immediately around that. And basically, Tanev's just fighting for that spot of the ice. And so that's why it's not called. And that kind of thing happens all the time. It just usually there isn't a defenseman streaking in with a wide open slot. But great question there, Brian, and hope we could clarify that for you.
Yeah.
Brian says, thanks, Dylan RJ. I thought obstruction was predicated on who has puck possession. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember the exact differences between like interference, obstruction, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, is that where the Sean Avery rule comes into play?
No, I don't think the Sean Avery rule comes into play there. But yeah, interesting discussion with that. But no, I think it's just, you view it as like a net front battle, and obstruction. I think, yeah, like those obstruction calls, like, obstruction hooking, obstruction holding, that is obstructing the player with the puck.
Yeah.
And that's away from the puck. So,
Yeah.
let's see. Ty Bjorky has a half shield and a chin bar, not a fishbowl. Oh, okay. Good to know. I didn't get a close up look at it. So that I think is less uncomfortable. I would imagine so.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so thank you for clarifying that, Ty. Lindsay, okay, off to bed for an early morning wake up call, Central Time. Fingers crossed we get another dance party after the Kings game. Go Kraken. Sorry if we missed you already, but good night, Lindsay.
Yep.
And then Harley, Dylan, RJ, thanks for thinking of us gals. Are you clothing choices in the ECH store? Of course. No, we always try and make sure to have, like, women's, clothes options available and everything. I mean, I know we have a lot of women who are part of the ECH community, want to make sure to have something for you. So appreciate that. I mean, of course. Stratic, for all the talk about Seattle's red hot PDO, that's true, but they've also succeeded despite one of the hardest strengths in the league so far, based on the first strength of schedule ranking site I clicked on anyway. So strength of schedule, PDO, I mean, it's things that kind of weigh against each other. Strength of schedule is always kind of a difficult one because you never know.
I was going to say, and we're like how many games into the season now? Like, I feel like that's not like the biggest.
Yeah. It's a small sample size.
Yeah.
But then Sean asking, what is PDO? And Stratic explaining, it's a combination of on-ice shooting percentage and on-ice save percentage. Generally speaking, it's seen to represent good bounces and luck to a degree. Yeah, so PDO is something that people will look at to kind of determine how, quote-unquote, lucky a team is getting. And it basically combines shooting percentage, on the ice versus plus save percentage. And the idea is that both of those numbers will kind of regress to a general league average mean. And so over 100, you'd expect it to basically go to 100 even. And so over 100 is looked at as being potentially lucky, under 100 unlucky. Sean,
I was going to say, just real quick, because I'm getting these warnings that my battery's going to die on the laptop. So if I disappear, I'll just pull it up on my phone. But I turned off the screen on my computer. Hopefully that'll keep it alive long enough.
Okay. Well, good
at a blank empty screen here.
Good to know. And thank you for the warning, Dylan. We're at the 49-minute mark. So hopefully not too much longer than it has to go. So let's see. Going on the PDO stuff. Thanks everyone for helping explain that too. Sean, promo code says it can't be applied. Okay, I will get to work on that as soon as this ends, and I'll make a new promo code out that'll also do a 15% discount. I'll send that out, to all the patrons with it. So just hang on for that one. Let's see in the chat. We're talking about PDO. Ty, Tanev was solid. Gibson chopped him in the back with the blocker and then got beat. Karma wins out. Tanev did not interfere with Gibson's ability to stop the shot. I missed him. I missed that Gibson chop.
Yeah, I actually know. I remember seeing that. It's the stuff that happens, in this league, right?
Yeah, but maybe sometimes this does happen. Sometimes where a goalie's more focused on the player in front of him than the shot that's coming in on him, and it can take a goalie off their game.
Yeah, I mean, that was an epic battle that Tanev was putting on right there at the top of the crease. Like it would be hard for anybody not to, be partially paying attention to what's going on there. And then, of course, you're never expecting as a goaltender either to have the seas part in front of you like that, and you're just staring down a player when play has been in your own zone for a little while already.
Yeah, although maybe with the Stucks team, Gibson should be used to it. But
I was going to say, because Gibson made some good saves on breakaway opportunities earlier in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it shows that without Tanev there doing what he's doing, Gibson, he might make that save.
Yeah, very possible. And Sean, RJ and Dylan, what about Shane Wright versus Montreal before World Juniors? And thank you for putting this one back in chat. I saw it, somewhere there, but I've had to scroll through a lot. So again, if anyone, has something they want to talk about in chat, before we go, like put it back in there. I'm trying to do the best I can on the chat. But anyway, Sean, so Shane Wright, he's scheduled to come back after I think that game on the 3rd against Henderson.
Yeah.
So that would open him up to playing on the 5th against Montreal, a big marquee game. I mean, the Montreal media is all going to come over to Seattle. There's going to be a huge story. It'll be, a big deal. Would you put him in that game?
It all depends on, like I said, if you're sticking to the plan and the plan is to send him to Canada's camp. We know Canada's camp is supposed to start sometime around the 5th. So, I don't know if you're sticking to the plan and camp's going to start on the 6th, let's say, then you're probably just sending him straight from Henderson out to, wherever Canada's holding their camp. I obviously we'd all love to see it for the storyline, right? Like that's the epic thing. They pass on him. We want him to get out there. We want him to, go out there and maybe score a goal and prove that they made the wrong decision, all of that good stuff. I don't know that that's really, what management and the coaching staff and everybody within the Kraken organization cares about right now. I think if you're looking at this from their perspective, you want to do what's best for Shane this year and for the future, so that for the next, decade and a half, he can go and show Montreal that they made the wrong choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think, yeah, it depends basically on what you want to do, with that. I would think this Kraken, coaching and management team might want to just not have to deal with that whole story and everything, just keep things as quiet as possible. But we'll see, that game's on the 6th. And man, it would be fun to cover. That's for
Right.
sure. So I mean, personally, just as
Right.
someone who would have the chance to cover it, I'm rooting for it.
Right. And it gets awkward too, because it's like you're disrupting your lineup for one game. Like, is
Well, that's
that
the thing. If
really in the
Kiki's
best?
still out at that point, that's the other question.
Yeah, that's the other question. I don't know. I guess you could make that call when it gets there and we have more information on that situation. But if it's
Yeah.
if it's going to be disrupting your lineup for one game after, it's won 5 in a row now, who knows where they'll be at that point. I don't know that I would do that just for that one kind of opportunity at something. Because especially if he's playing, Montreal is going to put that on their whiteboard too, and they're going to want to step up and highlight Sloth and say, hey, we did make the right choice by passing on this guy. So I don't know that you want to take that chance for only one game.
Yeah, agreed. I think that it's not really worth it unless you want to just lean into the chaos. But speaking of that 5-game win streak you were just talking about, Ayers, any thoughts on possibly breaking our franchise record win streak on Tuesday?
I mean, they won in that building before. So I mean, it's certainly possible. They've played really, really well against this Kings team. So they kind of have their number a little bit. I think that's certainly possible. Way we've been seeing them play. If they clean up the stuff on the PK, they clean up the stuff defensively. That's really been their only issue these last couple games, going back to the Sharks game, through the Vegas game, and then into this one. If you clean that up, I mean, they have enough depth of scoring to get by anybody. So,
yeah, certainly possible. And I mean, just exciting too. I mean, for you to be in the building for that.
yeah.
And it's so nice too, because the Kraken, just had a 5-game win streak, before this one in fairly recent
Right.
memory. And they're right back to 5 games with a chance
Yeah.
to extend it to a franchise record 6th. I mean, it felt like the Kraken were allergic to 3 last year.
Yeah.
So it's a nice change of pace. Alex, any closing thoughts on the game management by the refs? I'm interested. We got a lot of talk about the officiating in here early on, and
Yeah.
I said we would save some of it until you got here. I mean, what did you think about the calls in this game?
I don't know. It's always hard. Like, I tend to notice officiating a lot more when I'm watching on TV than when I'm in a building, for whatever reason. Because I guess I can look at more, different areas of the ice more when I'm in a building, so I'm not always looking at where, a penalty takes place. Um, it was what it was. I felt like, they were trying to let things go if they could, and then it just, at times, they couldn't. Um, and then, there's always the thing to be said about entertainment factor. The team's down, do you maybe try to help them out a little bit more? You're a little more lenient on them, a little more strict on the other team. Who knows? We've talked about that in the past. Does the NHL probably do that? Yeah, probably. It makes sense for them to do that as a company built around an entertainment product. But I don't know that was overtly what was happening here tonight.
Yeah, and my main answer too was just if the Kraken PK is playing the way that it should, I don't think we're
It's
talking
not a
about that.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's
Because didn't we
see.
convert on both of our power plays too?
Um, No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't perfect. What was it? Let me double check that real quick. Kraken were 1 for 2 on the power play.
Okay.
So that, yeah, but still, I mean, the Kraken did get a power play goal.
Yeah.
And how many power plays did the Ducks get? I'm going to go back in and check. Wasn't it 4?
It was
Yeah.
4. Yeah.
So the power
They were
plays were
3 for
2 to
4.
4. Normally, you don't really talk about that kind of discrepancy unless, a team maybe scores 3 on their 4 power plays.
Right. And I was going to say, and that second, the only penalty called in the third period was against the Ducks. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the third period of a really close game. It might have even been tied at that point or around there. So, if you're going to put a number value figure on valuable times to have a power play, we probably, equaled it up there.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. And Brian pointing out the flip side of that, we smoked them 4-1 at 5-on-5.
Exactly. I mean, and that's that's the way it should be against a team like this.
Yeah, no, definitely. And breaking news: Daniel Sprong gets the Davy Jones hat.
All right.
Well deserved. And Brian, I love that for Sprong from a tryout to rocking the Davy Jones hat.
Yep.
It's amazing, how far he's come this season.
Oh, it really has been. He's been fantastic. He had the one rough penalty that he took, the hook or the slash, whatever they called it. And it was a little the defenseman's already there engaging with the player. You don't need to jump in on that one. But you like the defensive effort because that's really been the thing that's been there from him this year to go along with that natural scoring ability that he has. And it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's great to see everyone rally around him too. His teammates are happy for him and everything that he brings.
Right.
So that's nice. And he's one of the funnier guys in the room too. So
Yeah.
that is also nice.
And then that sick opportunity coming out of the box too. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, and what a breakout pass by Carson Soucy.
Yeah.
That wasn't, I think that would have been highlighted more if Sprong scores on that, but that pass, gorgeous. CR Bud, Shane doesn't have to play versus Montreal. He can just bring back the Death Stare. Edward, I still think Shane Wright Death Stare would be a killer band name.
It would be. It very much would be. So let's go start some ECH 70s prog rock band, everybody, and that'll be our name.
Yep. Shane Wright Death Stare. Oh man, that's a good one. If you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Pablo, kind of a bigger question. Do you think the Kraken are making the playoffs? It's a big conversation here. Pablo's left a few comments here. I want to make sure to get to one of them here. But the odds would certainly say yes at this point, at least just going by the numbers.
I was going to say, I don't want to be committal on anything because in the NHL, you never know.
You never know. I mean, and this game shows you never know.
Right.
You think it's an easy win against the Ducks, and no, it's certainly not.
Yeah, who would have thought we'd be in an 8-5 game against the Sharks a couple games ago too, right? And it's only November. Lots of stuff could happen between now and then. But I will say, if the team continues to play the way that they've been playing, this is my coach answer.
Yeah.
They will make they would be a playoff team. They're playing like a playoff team right now, and if they continue to play like a playoff team, they will become a playoff team. That's how it works.
And that's got to be the message. If you keep playing like this, you're going to be playing in the playoffs. And that's a good kind of, carrot and a good example for the team to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex, lead single off the first album, Bask in the Rask. I know you would like that one.
Oh, can't wait for that 13.5-minute instrumental.
Absolutely. That would be great. Okay. On that note, we just hit the hour mark. So I think, that's all for tonight's ECH postgame live. Hopefully your battery is hanging on there. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other stories or anything from the game tonight?
No, I think we just about covered it. It was, it was nice to see, like I said, this team kind of flipped the script from the last time they were here in this building. And like I said, I think it really shows how far this team has come as a unit. Coaching staff, making those adjustments, the team getting used to playing with each other, right? The team chemistry that they have now and everything. It's really, really cool to see. And you just know that on any given night, the Kraken could come into any building and play any team, and they have, at least 50-50 odds of getting a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so fun to experience. And I know you're going to have a great time right back at it in LA in a couple days, and we'll see you all after that game. But thank you all for tuning in to ECH Post Game Live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. One more thank you to our sponsor, Queen Anne Beer Hall. Yep, and seeing all the
I can't
thanks
see
and
my
the great
screen. I'm just assuming that it's working.
Yep, that's true. Yes, it is. It's right below you. We got the Queen Anne Beer Hall logo right there. So thanks again to them for sponsoring this episode of ECH Post Game Live, and thank you to everyone showed up to watch this one. I mean, it just over 100, well over 100 people again.
Nice.
Just so great to see it, and thanks for being so active in chat. We'll see you all in a couple days against the LA Kings.
Gucci.